People think Alcaraz is special because he's fast, but that's not the real reason. Hey, it's Chris Lewitt, top American coach and head coach of Tennis Evolution. Today we're going to go through a new series called How Alcaraz Was Built the Spanish Way. It's going to be a 5-part series. This is part 1, Move Like Alcaraz. We're going to talk about footwork and movement in Spain and how they develop beautiful movers like Alcaraz, like dancers. Stay tuned, we'll dive right in. So I wrote the book on Spanish tennis, The Secrets of Spanish Tennis, best-selling book. I studied in Spain the last 20 years. Footwork is the foundation of the Spanish game. And so what they do there is they have a beautiful system, and it's definitely how Alcaraz was built. Number one is they're very light on their feet. The players are like dancers. In fact, one of the greatest Spanish coaches, William Pato Alvarez, he was a fan of ballroom dancing, and he thought that tennis players should move like ballroom dancers. And he's a legendary coach in Spain, Pato Alvarez. But basically, you want to start by being light on your feet, being like a dancer, having a nice rhythm and balance and flow when you move around the court. Learn to be graceful, stay on the toes. A lot of people, when they move, they are kind of clunky with their feet. I have lots of my students who make big sounds on the ground like a dinosaur running through there, and they move with a lot of times like heel-based movements, or when they're shuffling they bump their feet together or they drag their feet. So one of the first things you got to do is, you might even benefit from some jump roping, but it's the jump rope idea is being light on your feet, having a nice light split step, being like a dancer out there and learning how to move on the balls of your feet and to return on the balls of your feet, never really getting stuck in the ground with your heels, never really getting clunky or heavy with your feet. You want to be very light and airy, like you're walking on the clouds, and that's what Alcaraz does really well. So another way that Alcaraz was built in Spain is he learned how to receive the ball, and receiving the ball is a huge part of the philosophy in Spain about how to move. And basically what it means is, as the ball's traveling to you, you need to try to receive it between your hip and shoulder, between your waist and your shoulders. And so you have this strike zone where the ball's coming in and you need to hit it, which they say in Spain, they say receive it and then hit it. But essentially we're talking about getting the ball to drop, or getting the ball to situate itself between the hip and shoulder. So if I'm coming forward, I'm going to try to receive it between the hip and shoulder. And if I'm going backwards, I'm going to try to receive it between the hip and shoulders. And this is an obsession in Spain. And Alcaraz, for sure, was instructed to do this throughout his junior careers. You need to receive the ball between the hip and shoulders. And while you're receiving the ball, you work on your footwork. You work on having a nice, strong, wide base. That's very important. Alcaraz does that very well. And you make adjustments with your feet. So if you have a ball out here, you try to receive it between the hip and shoulder, and then you try to send it long distance. But this obsession with receiving the ball is a main pillar in Spain in terms of how they teach movement, and Alcaraz definitely learned this, and he shows that when he moves on the court. He's light, like I mentioned, like a dancer. He's very graceful, but he's also extremely good at receiving the ball. So if you can imagine, as the ball is coming in, you receive it, it bounces, and then you have to measure the ball, get your positioning, get your body in the right position to receive it, and the ball either comes up or it comes down, depending if you're taking it on the rise or on the fall, and you let it come right in between your hip and shoulder, about belly button level, and then you accelerate and you send it from there. And that's receiving the ball in Spain. Super, super important. Another thing you can think about in terms of the distance is not only receiving the ball between hip and shoulder, but also out to the side and in front. So you need to have a good distance here. You don't want to be cramped. That's a big part of the reception. You want to be out to the side and also in front of your body. Obviously, you don't want to hit the ball late. So that's another part, and sometimes these are called, in Spain, measuring the distances. So you measure the distance from the ground to where you receive the ball in terms of the height from the ground. You measure the ball in terms of the distance from your body out here, and you measure the ball so that you meet it out in front and that you're not late. If you can control these distances, you can receive the ball in the best possible way. So we talked about the obsession of receiving the ball. You can have a ball yourself and toss it to yourself and practice moving and hitting and receiving and then hitting. Think about it in two parts. You receive it first, that's where the eyes and the feet work hard, and then when you swing, you hit it, obviously. So the ball's coming, I move, and I try to receive it well with optimizing, maximizing those distances that I talked about. Optimizing the distance, I go, I receive it, and then I hit it, right? And you can do that on your own with a ball. You can set up a ball machine is great, or if you're hitting with a partner, you can also do this with your partner. In fact, this is the overlay that I think about all the time when I'm training and when I'm playing, and this is what I teach to all my students. I have some of the best juniors in the US that I coach, and we're always working on, in your mind, when you're hitting or when you're playing, you're thinking about receiving the ball. Very, very simple. Comes from the great Pato Alvarez, from the legendary coaches in Spain like Luis Bruguera and Pato Alvarez, the godfathers of Spanish tennis. The ball comes, you find it, you receive it, and then you hit it, right? You can practice on your own, you can practice with ball machine, you can have a coach drill you, and you can work on it even anytime you're playing live ball. If you're not sure what to focus on, you're playing a match and you're not sure where you're not playing well, the first thing you should do, if you want to train and think like Alcaraz, is you think about receiving the ball. How am I seeing it? How am I positioning my feet? And then I send it, right? Receive and then send. Don't just send it. Don't focus on hitting. And this is the criticism many, many Spanish coaches have of American tennis. They say, oh, American tennis, they're always trying to hit the ball. And in Spain, they're obsessed with receiving first, adjusting the feet, eyes watching carefully, adjusting, light on the feet like a dancer, and then they hit it, but only after receiving it well. Okay, so we talked about being like a dancer, light on the feet, graceful like Alcaraz. We talked about receiving the ball, which is the obsession in Spain, and for sure Alcaraz learned to move that way. And the third way, if you want to be like Alcaraz, if you want to move like that guy, is you need to master the X drill. And Alcaraz is so great at this. He moves back very quickly deep into the court, and then he moves forward very quick up to the baseline, inside the baseline, and he moves to the net. Amazing. This is all from the X drill, the most famous drill, one of the most famous drills in Spain. And basically, to practice that, you need to practice the in and the out. Sometimes in Spain, they call that in and out, or out and in, or the give and take. And if you're just on your own, like I am today, you can use a basket of balls and just toss to yourself and work on the X that way. And if you have a partner, they can feed you the X. I'll show you a few examples of the X drill. This is a very popular drill now. You can find many examples online now, but a lot of people don't do it the true Spanish way with the right focus. But basically, you're going to work on your defense. So going back behind the ball, and you play high defensive shot. And then you come back to you never stay back there. You come back to your house, su casa, la casa here, like the kind of the center, control center of the court. And then you get a ball that's short and you move in, you receive it between the hip and shoulder, and you attack it there. And that is the classic X. You can do that on the backhand side, go back deep, and the whole focus is receiving the ball, loading, adjusting, and receiving the ball well. Receiving the ball well, and then you recover. You always recover along the X, and then you get a short ball, and the same idea, moving up, and you attack from the mid-court. And if you master this movement, the X drill, you will learn to move like Alcaraz, but it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to suffer. Day. Day. And finally, guys, to move like Alcaraz, to train the Spanish way, you need to go out to the side and back. And this is the lateral movement. Alcaraz does this so beautifully. He's a master of the lateral movement. Guys, it's not his speed. He's trained this way. I mean, his speed is incredible. But he has all of the trainings from Spain. You go out wide and make sure you use semi-open stance. And then you cross over, side shuffle, and you flow. You go out wide here, you go semi-open, and you cross over, come back. So this is the other part of the movement that you have to practice. You need to work on the X, which I just showed you guys. And to be the master of the court like Alcaraz, you need to also be able to move beautifully laterally. You can go out and toss to yourself and just work on going wide, setting up wide base, and then working your crossover side shuffle. You can do the same on the other side. Crossover side shuffle if you have a two-hander. Crossover side shuffle. You get back to the middle and make sure you're a dancer here. Make sure you're light on your feet, like you're jumping rope like a boxer, super light, and you work laterally as well. If you do this, you'll have the complete package. Guys, remember, footwork and movement is an obsession in Spain. You can learn the Spanish way if you follow these exercises. Remember, Spain builds movers first and then champions. Every great player in Spain started out learning to be a dancer, learning to move on the court along the X laterally, and that's how Alcaraz was made as well. And guys, don't forget to check out every video in this series, how Alcaraz was built the Spanish way. We've got all the pillars coming up.